we'll wait, and maybe we should close these doors, because there's a lot. Many people enjoying themselves, which is wonderful, right? Many people enjoying themselves, which is wonderful, right? Okay, so today is it's June 7th. Nice day for January, huh? It's June 7th, 2026, and we are in our summer schedule here at St. Mark's in our forum. And for our summer, for the most part, what we are doing is reading the gospel for the day and then talking about it. And so we are the leaders. And Helen has volunteered to read the gospel. So here we go.
All right, let me do it. Can everyone hear me at this level?
Yeah.
Okay. As Jesus was walking along, he saw a man called Matthew sitting at the tax booth, and he said to him, "Follow me." And he got up and followed him. And as he sat at dinner in the house, many tax collectors and sinners came and were sitting with him and his disciples. When the Pharisees saw this, they said to his disciples, "Why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners?" But when he heard this, he said, "Those who are well have no need of a physician, but those who are sick. Go and learn what this means. I desire mercy, not sacrifice. For I have come to call not the righteous, but sinners." When he was saying these things to them, suddenly a leader of the synagogue came in and knelt before him, saying, "My daughter has just died, but come and lay your hand on her, and she will live." And Jesus got up and followed him with his disciples. Then suddenly a woman who had been suffering from hemorrhages for 12 years came up behind him and touched the fringe of his cloak. For she said to herself, "If I only touch his cloak, I will be made well." Jesus turned, and seeing her, he said, "Take heart, daughter, your faith has made you well." And instantly the woman was made well. When Jesus came to the leader's house and saw the flute players and the crowd making a commotion, he said, "Go away, for the girl is not dead, but sleeping." And they laughed at him. But when the crowd had been put outside, he went in and took her by the hand, and the girl got up. And the report of this spread throughout that district. And I'm not supposed to read the rest of the Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord. Okay, so some of you have the advantage of having been at the 8:30 service, so perhaps preached on, I don't know, Kristen, was this it? Okay, so what are some of the things that stand out to you in this gospel reading?
As someone who makes the sausage, which is in this case the bulletin, we are, for the summer, we just entered like, we're using the lectionary track 2. So we get right now an option, track 1 or track 2. Track 1 would take us along, which is what we more typically do, take us along a whole like this Genesis story. We'd be like a totally different route. We'd be learning about Abraham and his journeys and misadventures, etc. Track 2 is the older style, really, what the original prayer book has us doing anyhow, which has the first readings lined up with the gospel, which is more often how sermons are preached at our parish. So if you look at page 5, we have a reading from Hosea. I know I'm taking us away from the gospel, but it's to bring us back to the gospel.
I love this. I'm like, can you come sit up here?
Oh, I'm back here because I'm going to slip away again.
Well, that's okay. We don't mind. You can sit up here and slip away.
Thanks. And so we have the end of the Hosea. For I desire steadfast love and not sacrifice, the knowledge of God rather than burnt offering, which is the quote.
Oh.
And then the Psalm 50, this is again track 2, different than track 1. Turn to page 6. We have verses 9 through 12. The Lord has all the creatures of the field, all the birds in the air. Number 13, do you think I eat the flesh of goats, of bulls? 14, offer to God a sacrifice of thanksgiving and make good your vows to the Lord Most High, to the Most High. So just wanted to point out that's going on. And that's also a note, just as the summer continues, we're going to continue with this track too. Look for connections in the other readings, because they're all lined up to complement or speak to or be the reference point for the gospel.
Thank you, that's so interesting. Yeah, because that line stood out to me in the gospel about, I don't ask for, now I can't find it, I don't ask for sacrifice. I desire mercy, not sacrifice, yeah. Yeah. So that's interesting that even in the Old Testament, the Psalm, we hear that. So what else stood out to you? Or did something new stand out to you since Seth made such an interesting point?
No one wants to speak.
I think it speaks to what we were talking about before. It speaks to the way that Jesus really flips so much on its head and disrupts the norms that the Pharisees are thinking, and that they're all about strict rule following and and rejecting the sinners. And he's saying that is not what the scriptures teach. And like he quotes the Old Testament and reminds them. Well, I'm not sure if they're reminded, but tries to remind them that the purpose is not in it's not in like checking off a list, but it's in following God and doing things like mercy, pursuing that.
Which is also the point of the epistle, the Romans, which I did not mention. Page 6, we have the epistle from the Romans, to the Romans rather, and talking about how it was not the law through which Abraham was justified, it was by faith. So again, providing a new perspective, perhaps a new perspective on the patriarch of the faith.
But the faith isn't just having a belief, it's being faithful.
Right, that's our actions matter.
The guidance that we have matters. We aren't too good at raising people from the dead.
Yeah, so for me, the I desire mercy, not sacrifice stood up, but also I've come not to call the righteous but sinners, because I think, I don't know, in the tradition in which I was raised, it was, our group just kind of stayed with our group, you know, and we didn't, and it was kind of like, well, we kind of know the truth, and Jesus, like Molly says, just kind of tossed all that on its ear and just like, no, I'm teaching you a different way.
Yeah.
Sorry I'm late, but that's
That's
part
okay.
of the.
But you know, Seth made such great points, we didn't need you.
I know.
Well,
Sorry,
he showed
sorry I
us,
missed that.
well, yeah, he showed us how the,
He
Old
explained the
Testament reading, the
lectionary.
Psalm and the Epistle all line up
Right.
with this, and that was really helpful, I think.
Excellent. Did anybody talk about how the girl who is healed and the woman who's healed, they have something in common, the 12 years. So she's been, has this infirmity for 12 years, and we can assume that the young woman is 12 years old. So there's this connection between the two of them, and that's something worth kind of turning around.
So is it also connected to the 12 apostles, or is 12 a number throughout?
It's a
Well,
great,
there's the
yeah.
12 tribes, and.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of significance in 12. 12, of course, the 12 tribes, the 12 disciples, and there's a significance in it. Of course, the gospel doesn't say, "You idiots, can't you see what we're saying?" No, I mean, it's meant to be, have many possibilities, right?
Well, the gospel kind of reminded me of the story of the prodigal son, where, everybody, the son that's so perfect, so angry that the son that's gone away, it's accepted before him because he's led such a virtuous life, but there's always a chance for redemption. Remember those people who had problems and bring them back in. That's what it reminded me of, same kind of story.
I always like to ask, who are you in the story? Who am I in the story? I know who I am in the story.
Who are you?
Oh, I'm the woman that's trying desperately to grab Jesus' cloak.
And why is that?
Because I know I'm a broken person, and I need to be healed. And I believe Jesus does it.
But what I think about that woman is she had so much faith that so she may have been broken, but I mean, most people didn't have that kind of faith that they just thought, well, if I touch his cloak, I always think of her as being really amazing that she felt that she could do that.
One of my questions is now, do you recognize or do you hear that God call you, follow me? I think that's not too easy to recognize and understand that, And the rest of the gospel, he giving us a good examples, to your faith and to be different, Of course, everyone we are sinners, right? And but God still calls you, That is the question. Do you hear already that? Let's go. Say, follow me.
Well, both of the people who were healed had so much faith. I mean, the daughter, her parent had a lot of faith because she just lay your hand on her and she'll be healed. And then the woman.
Well, the daughter, we don't know about anything about her faith.
No, I said,
Right.
but
Yeah,
the father,
no.
but the father or mother, whoever the parent was, probably
I
leaders
mean,
of
he says,
synagogue.
my daughter has just died.
Right,
Come and lay your hands on her and she will live.
so that's a lot of faith.
I mean,
Like, I really like you, George, but I wouldn't say that to you.
you can. I mean, it's not going to be very effective. I don't know. But he was a leader of the synagogue.
Right,
And so it's interesting how he knows about Jesus through reputation, to have that sense of of Jesus, what Jesus can do is pretty remarkable, right? There's no wondering, like, who is this guy? And maybe it doesn't matter because, I mean, his daughter has died, so he's looking for anything he can get, right?
Yeah, he's a little desperate.
If there's a chance. One of the professors in seminary always equated faith with desperation. There's an element, where faith can be really seen as in desperation.
Can I tell a little story about that's related?
yeah.
desperation and a little bit of faith. I have Graves' disease or some thyroid disease, and also was having a lot of pain in my esophagus, and my mom said, they're doing a blessing, some blessing of the throat. I don't know who knows what a patron saint in Catholicism is of throat diseases, but apparently they were doing this. So I'm like, all right, Mom, I'll go. Like, I didn't believe that it would work. I didn't believe anything. I was like, did it for my mom to appease her. And then it was St. Blaise. And so I was, after that service, I was on my way to the doctor about my throat. And I look up, I'm driving down 290, and it said Blaze in huge letters, like, whatever, graffiti. And I'd never noticed that before. And then within 2 weeks, both my thyroid nodule that had been there for 10 years, gone, and confirmed with an ultrasound. And I knew that it was different. And then the pain in my esophagus gone. Now that could be, there's science to back all of this up. It could have happened, it's just been a coincidence. The esophagus could have been from dairy. But there's now this small part of me that thinks like, so this has been, like, the blessing of the throat was part of what fixed everything? Or was it just this sliver of faith that I had when I saw that blaze and thought maybe that was a sign? I mean, so this is really interesting to me, and I feel like that father would have said anything as a parent. Any of us who are parents or love someone desperately know, if you think they're dead, you'll believe anything. It's like, oh, well, I heard this, maybe the thing, just give it a shot. Let's just give it a shot. And then it worked. So it does take faith, and it also is something else, that desperation. And I was a little bit faithful and a lot desperate. And who knows?
And kind of like this girl, it sounded like your mother had more faith
Then,
than you did.
oh yeah, always. So
What a wonderful story.
I still like it. I still think it's probably just a coincidence, but well, maybe not. I have this
Why can't it be
both.
everything?
It can be. And that's why I like it. I like to think it's a small miracle, whether it's a miracle of my blossoming faith or it's a miracle of actually curing me. I don't know. Doesn't matter. So,
Well, it's a good thing. I'm happy. When did this take place?
a couple of years ago, year and a half, 2 years, I don't know. Sometime
Okay.
in the last couple of years.
And how has been the condition? Has it stayed healthy or improved?
The nodule is still gone.
Great.
And I may be in remission. And as it turns out, maybe didn't have Graves at all. And then the other stuff, since I stopped eating dairy. But I am going back to dairy, so it'll be a test now to find out if it was just a dairy thing, but yeah. So I don't know. The condition is still stable. I do not have a maybe cancerous, maybe not nodule anymore.
I have a little story about faith. I don't know if any of you are on Facebook and watch reels, but there's one going around by several people, several are doctors. And I think it has something to do with faith. And they're encouraging people to sing a little song. Everything in, every little cell within my body, every little cell is happy and well, every little cell within my body, every little cell is happy and well. I'm so glad every little cell in my body is happy and well. I am so glad every little cell in my body is happy and well. Now, when you see doctors singing that and teaching it to people, and you see teenagers singing it, and I, as a person who believes in God and Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit, I know who I'm singing that to, and hoping that every little cell in my body is happy and well. But people are desperate to believe in something that will heal them. And, we can say, somebody said, well, you wouldn't go to George to be healed. But if if I.
That was Joyce, just by the way.
Don't throw Joyce.
Not that we're pointing fingers or naming
Throwing
names.
people under the bus. Yeah, if I were desperately ill, I would call Father George because there would be healing in whatever he said or did with them. It might not heal, my thyroid problem or the endometrial cancer I had, or the breast cancer I had, or the AFib, but we can heal each other with our love, and that's all. I'll shut up now. I like it. I love that. No, shut up.
And it's through the relationship, you know, and it's not my powers. It's, you know, because everything, like faith, healing, love, they all come from God. And so when we work with each other, it can help us to have it, you know, see it. So I don't, you know, that's the thing, you know, like when the pastors, like, you know, seem to be able to like make people walk and all that, it's really, you know, I find it difficult because it's like a show, and who knows, but it doesn't make me feel good. But I do think that there is, when we have healing Sundays and people come forward, and there is a lot of power in just that intentional prayer and focus and care. Powerful.
I think that even if it doesn't heal your body, if it heals your soul in a way that makes it easier to accept what's happening to your body, that is also kind of a little miracle too. Like if you learn how to accept what's happening, I can't accept it. I'm like, nope, I'm going to fix this. I don't trust God. I know what I'm doing. But I think that would be a miracle. I mean, whatever a miracle is.
As a chaplain, we see many situations, when for the people, it's hard to accept that somebody's dying or somebody died already. But I can see the healing, and I always pray, you know, not to chaplain bring you the solution, but to bring the wisdom of God to His word. But this is to say the miracle, reach the words that I will get it straight and understanding and moving into any situations. So for some people, it's too hard. You know, that is very hard. People don't realize that part. So, but the family, when they get it, the support they can do is not expecting they're gonna stand up and walk in, you know, but just to support them, to praise to the sick person, when he get it does, he get a peace that is getting straight. And many people, when they feel this, is just live past peaceful, and this is what I see the miracle when the people, everyone, of course, it's a pain in all the process, but when they accept this is a blessing, and this thanks to the God who works in a wisdom today, even us to support another person in these cases. So I think this is what we hear today, wisdom for Jesus, you know, to in different situations, how your faith can help you, you know, even be accepted in the scenario where you are not welcome, you know. But they show the people that everyone, they are the same, we are the same, and this is that wisdom helping us, you know, even process what happened in the present. As an immigrant, you feel like a different, or make you feel different, but we are not different in God's eyes, you know. So this is what we needed to, and the miracle to through the love can we change our minds and learn to support each another, love your neighbors. This is a wonderful, you know, things that we need to practice. But you need to feel, how can you feel this? It is to the love and believe it, especially when they, yeah, and this is a real miracle to them. That God's wisdom can give you. So we pray for this, get the wisdom to process understanding the different situations, society, personal, and the death. It's really hard. It's what I hear in the gospel too.
So we're reading the Gospel of Matthew, and so here, this is kind of we have Matthew introduced as the tax collector. So there is tradition that this Matthew wrote the Gospel, right? That's one of the traditions. So it's as we now will be in the Gospel of Matthew for week after week. This is a kind of the entree into this section of the gospel that we're going to be reading, and we're going to be reading about the works of Jesus. His ministry becomes the focus throughout the summer as Matthew presents it. Now, as somebody who appreciates scholarship, we don't know who wrote this gospel. We have ideas about the community and how they were different, or what they were thinking was different from the other gospels. But I just, just to kind of set this up, that we'll be really in the Matthew kind of theology and evangelical, or their mode of telling who Jesus is. So look for that. And every year we're in a different gospel, right? I mean, we rotate every 3 years. The next year it'll be Luke, and then back to Mark, Matthew, Mark, Luke.
Yeah, I think even the first line is interesting, because he saw Matthew and he said, "Follow me," and he got up and followed him. And he didn't say, "Well, wait a second, I have some people that I need to get in touch with first, or I need to put away my papers, or I need to do this or that, or, well, maybe later." He just got up and followed him.
It's like Peter, right, at the beginning, you follow me, okay. And it's somebody who is perceived as a traitor, right? Because he's at the tax booth, which means he's basically an ICE agent, right?
Yeah.
Follow me, and he just does. Now, some people think ICE agents are wonderful. I have a little trouble with them, but I would consider that is kind of a similar parallel.
Yeah, I mean, somebody who at least is viewed by a large percentage of the populace as being
right,
kind of suspect.
Somebody who you wouldn't think would glom onto Jesus. There they are. And then Matthew doesn't really get talked about again. That's it. And of course, in the next part is just wonderful, because it really gives us the context of, Jesus is very clear. I'm here for the people who need me, who need help. Who needs help, right? I mean, those people who feel like they are all kind of in good stead with God and with the law and with everything, that's good. But I'm here for people who need help.
But ironically, or maybe ironically is not the word, the people who think they're in all good often need more help than the ones who know that they're not. In my experience.
I mean, ultimately, who doesn't need help?
Right.
I mean, if people are being honest, I mean,
We all do.
I don't know, maybe Elon Musk doesn't think he needs help. I don't know. I mean,
But we all think he does.
I mean, yeah. When you are the richest person in the world, and you have kings and popes falling at your feet, I mean, it seems like you don't need anything.
Well, now, George, you made me think, because if Matthew wrote this, why didn't he explain why he followed Jesus? Maybe he was suppressing something there. Maybe it took him a while, or he had to think about it, or
Maybe that's why he wrote the gospel.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah,
Because
but
here you go. This is,
yeah, but he left the part out. We'd like to know the interaction, you know? At first, did he say, hell no? And
Right.
did it took him a while, or?
Was it just an instantaneous, yeah,
I'll think about that for a while.
I mean, the legend is nice to kind of play with that.
Mhm.
Like, why
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
that be? And there is a sense of like purity of seeing Jesus, right? And then the ability to then report and record what was seen.
And personally, as kind of a skeptical person, the lack of skepticism of just like getting up and following without saying, well, wait a second, you know, what about this? Or, you know, I'm not sure about that,
It
you
couldn't
know?
help his act. I mean, everybody hated him, right? And suddenly, then he's following this famous rabbi. Well, you know, all of a sudden, hanging with the Pope, and so it doesn't matter if he committed some crimes or took more money as the tax collector, although that's not the whole point of this particular story, but it's interesting.
I take this as a big challenge when you say, go and learn what does this mean?
Yeah.
So,
I kind of-
here's the, what does it mean for you? And as you say, what does it mean for you? And now, process, what does that mean to you? How did you hear? How did you say this is working? You know, and how did you identify with the other ones? I mean, there's a lot to learn, you know, what does that mean? Yeah, I think we want to say we are sick or we are sinners. Yeah. But what does that mean? In a single question, not in general. Yeah.
I think
Well,
Mary Ann Buddy in her homily at the
Inauguration.
at the inauguration for Trump, it focused on this mercy, you know, and Jesus says, I desire, well, he quotes, I desire mercy, not sacrifice. I mean, it's just a core,
Mhm.
I mean, what, and we need, if he says, go and learn what this means, I mean,
One of the things that stands out to me too is, you know, the Pharisees are talked about, and we always hear about the Pharisees in kind of I think in a negative way, that they're looking down at everybody and judging others and being kind of holier than thou. And it's easy to then kind of generalize that to kind of everybody in the church or in that group. And yet it was the leader of the synagogue who came to Jesus. So it wasn't like everybody in the synagogue was like the Pharisees. You know, and for me, that's a challenge to not just kind of umbrella everybody into a group and say everybody's like this.
And not to say, oh, the Pharisees were always doing this or that, and not see ourselves in
Right.
that too.
Right, we're not seeing ourselves in the
Just as
Pharisees,
capable of-
right.
I mean, I just think the Pharisees are like a religious establishment, you know,
Mhm.
that have you know, the various catechisms and rules and, you know, well, the established, this is the way things are done, and how that can blind us. And so and the worst thing is when it becomes anti-Semitic, of course, right? The Pharisees are standing for the Jews, and therefore the Jews are
Right,
they couldn't see the love of Jesus.
Right.
Therefore they're bad.
right.
I mean, this is a terrible, you know, like, interpretation that has been done,
Yeah.
you know, and it's a
What
sin.
could be really helpful on that is the Jewish annotated New Testament, which I think is now in something like its third edition, though I have the first. But it will explain things like what was the Pharisaic group at that time, where was this guy coming from? And also it can call you back to things in Talmud that explain what they're saying.
And the Pharisees, for the most part, were, well, they were kind of they were the Sadducees, who were primarily in the temple, right? They were the priests kind of running the temple, and the Pharisees were the modern day kind of equivalent of the rabbis.
They were recognized by the Romans as the representatives
The religious
of the
kind of
religious
yeah, the leaders, kind of the precursors of what we consider modern rabbinical Judaism. But they were, you know, they were out in the community and with the people. Whereas the Sadducees, if you hear about those, they were usually in the temple, were connected to the cult of worship in Jerusalem. So, hi Ed, you can join us if you'd like. We're talking about Matthew's gospel. You could, here, come on in. You're welcome to. We've got another maybe 10 minutes or so. So this is Ed, this is Ann Cardwell's brother, Ed, and his wife Sharon. And they're in town because Ann's funeral service was yesterday. There you go. And
You actually studied this on Tuesday, so I think we're okay.
oh, I mean, it would be nice if you take a minute just to tell us about yourselves. We would appreciate that.
No pressure.
Ed Davis, we live in Huntsville, Texas, about 65 miles north of Houston on Interstate 45, which is the Dallas-Houston interstate. Been there since I had hair. Long time, actually. Former professor of political science and criminal justice at Sam Houston State University. Right now, I'm just mop the floors and mow the yard.
Are you still in a prison ministry work?
Yeah, I retired from the Episcopal Diocese of Texas after I retired from teaching. I was coordinator of restorative justice for the Diocese of Texas. And right now I'm chaplain to the hospital prison unit. The third floor of our local hospital is for inmates. And I work the side of the hall where the inmates are going to die, where they are in the bed they're lying in. They're not.
Is this like a hospice setting?
It isn't called that, but yeah,
Okay.
that's really what it is. I've only done that since January, so I'm learning, and boy, is there a lot to learn. Not about inmates. I've been in prison ministry for 30 some odd years. And Sharon has joined me in that and the women's units.
So I'm Sharon, I'm married to Ed, Sharon Lynch, we've been married, I guess, 30 years. And a daughter of the king and involved with Kairos prison ministry as well. And blessed to be here. So well, didn't want to interrupt.
No, thank you. And Ed gave a loving
Tribute, yeah.
tribute
Yeah,
to his
beautiful.
sister, and it was great.
Mhm.
And he was limited to 5 minutes, although I think you did more than 5, but that's.
Well, I had to clear my throat.
Yeah.
Well, sorry for your loss and, yeah, welcome.
So actually, the ministry that you do for prisoners and those who are sick is kind of like, this is, Jesus is saying he came for the, those who are, not for those who are well, but those who are in need of a physician. So you see, you must keep, this must, feel like it just echoes through the ministries that you do and see.
Well, right, and Matthew 25 is, of course, the one that,
I was in prison, you
thanks so
visited
much
me.
attention to as well.
So just tell people quickly what Matthew 25 is about. I mean,
Well, Jesus says we're to feed the hungry.
Right,
We're
clothe
to
the
clothe
naked.
the naked. We are to visit the prisoners.
Right.
And 2 other things, he says. Tend to the sick. I always usually get 4 out of 5, is that?
things you gotta be.
So. Yeah, that's a frightful scripture though, in a lot of ways.
Matthew 25.
Inasmuch as you did not do these things, woe be to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing about that chapter, it seems like those who really seem to know Jesus are the ones who don't get it, right? It's the ones who don't, they're surprised, right? When did I feed you?
Oh, yeah.
when did I visit you? They were surprised. And he said, because you visited the least. You cared for the least. You weren't, you know, looking for me in particular, you were helping the least. And
Agape love led you to do something. Love is, I said yesterday, both a noun and a verb. And in Matthew 25, it's a verb.
Yeah.
Moved by the noun.
Yeah, the previous, parish I attended had a Matthew 25 ministry, which was really all about doing all those things.
I mean, churches should be
Yeah.
a Matthew 25 ministry,
Right.
right? I mean, that's what we're set up for.
This is the building. We are the church.
Right.
Exactly. I mean, the mission is, is to do those things, right? I mean, if we're not doing those things, I think we're confused. We can't do it all.
And not receiving the satisfaction that God gives us for doing those things.
So say that again. Not receiving? I mean, we may not get any recognition, is what you're saying.
But God kind of like gives you, like when you're running and you quit, you get the endorphins. God does seem to me to respond.
That you're blessed, you receive a blessing
Yeah.
from doing those things.
Yeah, that's not why you do.
No, you don't do it for
That's
that,
something
but
that he gives you. That's one of the gifts.
So we have a blood clinic this morning, and usually people who give blood, they feel great after they've given blood. I mean, for the most part, you know, they're healthy. They feel not only they've done something good, but it's a positive experience. You know, extracting your own blood.
not for everyone.
It's great to come out. No, not everybody should do it. Not everybody should do any of the things. But you have everybody has their ways that they can serve.
And it's a connection to others.
Donating blood? Oh,
Yeah.
in a really tangible way, right? Yeah.
Gift of life.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're almost at the end of our time.
Any comments? Like Katie and Bill, you guys have been kind of quiet. Did you have any thoughts on this?
No, it's worth it.
I'm just open to learning, whatever. I thought that they spoke to me.
I sort of wonder who are what I call the chosen few, who are healed. And if what you pray for isn't healed, is there a reason? Maybe down the line or years to come after some tragedy or something.
I think healing comes in lots of ways.
We're ready to
You could-
end this, yeah.
Okay, I'm just checking.
Thank you.
So fine.
I think that would be a great thing to talk about, like a segue for next week.
Well, next week is
Oh, that's right, we have
Laura
Exodus.
Chesterton from Exodus International, who
Right.
is going to be talking with us about the ministry of Exodus that helped, resettle refugees, which we don't have right now because we don't have new refugees.
Not very
So
many, right? Or any, is it basically stopped all?
it went from 100,000 refugees allowed per year to zero. Although a few refugees were allowed from South Africa.
South Africa, yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
The privileged few.
They were white South Africans.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but Exodus is still active because they're working with refugees who've been here and still need a lot of support, and Seth's wife's hand